friends, sometimes you find the most amazing wisdom on Facebook. I found some today. Big picture of Hillary Clinton. And then superimposed on it is a tweet that Hillary sent. It says, every survivor of sexual assault deserves to be heard, believed, and supported. Underneath that it says, except for Juanita Broderick, alleged rape by Bill Clinton. Ellen Wellstone, alleged rape by Bill Clinton. Elizabeth Ward Grayson, alleged rape by Bill Clinton. Regina Blakely, quote, Bill forced himself on her, biting, bruising her. Kathleen Willey, sexual assault by Bill Clinton, intimidations, threats. Sandra Allen James, sexual assault by Bill Clinton. Kathy Bradshaw, sexual assault by Bill Clinton. Christy Zerker, unwelcome sexual advances from Bill Clinton. Paula Jones, unwelcome sexual advances, exposure bordering on sexual assault by Bill Clinton. Carolyn Moffat, unwelcome sexual advance, exposure bordering on sexual assault by Bill Clinton. Monica Lewinsky, sexually pressured by Bill Clinton, post-incident character assault. Jennifer Flowers, sexually pressured by Bill Clinton, post-incident character assault. Dolly Kyle Browning, sexually pressured by Bill Clinton, post-incident character assault. Unquote. So my friends, we have a multi-tiered view of Hillary Clinton here. First of all, she's a hypocrite and a liar. That's for starters. Second of all, she not only ignored the fact that her husband allegedly did all these things to these women, she led a pack of rats, a pack of Doberman pinchers, attacking these women, making nothing of them, calling them sluts and tramps and whores, and discrediting them in at least one case, walking up to one of the women, squeezing her hand, refusing to let go, and giving her a silent message that she needed to play ball. All the chickens are coming home to roost now for Hillary Clinton. Everybody, thanks to Donald Trump, Donald Trump put the illegal immigration issue on the front burner, and since then it's been the defining issue of this election season. Now he's shown that he's willing to speak the truth about the power couple of Washington, D.C., Bill and Hillary Clinton, and now that he's speaking the truth, the floodgates are open and truth is washing all over America. And that's a very, very, very good thing, because truth coming at Hillary Clinton is like sunlight coming at Dracula. America needs many things, my friends, but first and foremost, it needs truth. It's Riell Truth. This is Howard Riell. I'll be right back.
With Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Women, children, even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioH.com. And now take just one nutritional supplement instead of 10. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity and is safe for you and your family. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioH.com. Spelled BIOHE.com. Bio.com. Or call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. Bio is advanced organic.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. This is the American News Network.
All right, guys, we're back. We're just getting started. We're just beginning. Truth is flooding all across the United States thanks to Donald Trump, and I like to think thanks to me a little bit too. The Clintons are in high panic mode as a result. Alex Jones from InfoWars, his guest, Roger Stone. Let's give a listen.
We want to start this New York Times piece, or just the boldness of Trump, the courage of Trump. I mean, I'm not trying to kiss his butt here. He knows he's a savvy guy. He's in danger. I mean, I've never seen anything like this in modern politics, not bowing. This guy is a brawler. He is a street fighter. I really like what I'm seeing.
A crusade to save the country. He doesn't need the presidency to validate himself. He doesn't need the presidency to be a success. He's already a massive success. He's probably the best known businessman on the planet. He's built a $10 billion plus personal fortune. So he's doing this not for himself, but for his country. He hasn't seen a golf course in months. He has really worked extremely hard to build what I think is a juggernaut. I think I may have said it on this very program. Stepping in front of the Trump movement is going to be like stepping in front of a moving freight train. Was not a Reagan fan, but more importantly, Reagan was not a fan of détente. Reagan believed that we had to overpower and shut the Soviet Union's war machine down rather than coexist with it. So the men never agreed. They met privately. I was obviously not in the room. It was just Governor Reagan, Dr. Kissinger. When he emerged from the meeting 45 minutes later, he got back in the car. I said, well, Governor, how was your meeting with Dr. Kissinger? He just shook his head and he said, God, the guy smelled like garlic. It was awful. So I think you have a very analogous situation here. I've known Trump 30 years. His ideas, whether it is NATO or whether it is our fiscal situation or it is our ridiculous trade policy, these are hard-formed personal views that no one is going to change. Not Dr. Kissinger, not the Council on Foreign Relations, not the elites of the Republican Party. So when it comes to the question of the vice presidency, I must tell you, I put my complete and total faith in Donald J. Trump. You're going to hear names on the short list here that, in my opinion, are probably not really under consideration. Names put there for the point of party unity. Names put there to create a smokescreen so that Mr. Trump can have some suspense at the convention. But I would predict this. The nominee will be a nationalist, not a globalist. The nominee will be somebody who shares Donald Trump's views on a broad cross-section of issues. Now, he has, as you know, thrown out some names and talked about a short list and a vetting process. But at the end of the day, there's only one man on the planet who knows what Trump is going to do, and that's Trump. This process is not being managed by his campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski. It is not being managed by the very able lawyer that he's brought in to assist in the vetting, A.B. Culverhouse, who I know well from the Reagan administration, a good man, a patriot. But at the end of the day, only one man's going to make this choice, and I put my full faith in Donald Trump.
That's exciting. It's also common sense. If he's a nationalist, peace through strength, a patriot, a constitutionalist, and a free marketer, Trump is going to end up picking somebody that's similar to him or almost exactly like him because he doesn't really like to, compromise on.
Senator Corker yesterday, I don't know that that has any particular significance. My understanding was that Corker asked for the meeting. He is the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. As you know, he was very warm about Donald Trump's foreign policy speech several weeks ago. There's obviously some pressure from some of the party people to take John Kasich on the argument that he would bring you on Ohio. Just my opinion, I think that is unlikely. Never saw any chemistry between he and Donald Trump. Marco Rubio, in my opinion, is not a finisher in this process. Not the right man either. There is, of course, some discussion of a woman, Governor Suzanne Martinez of New Mexico. Also someone I think many people have overlooked, Shelley Moore Pito from West Virginia, a very distinguished U.S. Senator, the daughter of former Governor Arch Moore, a nationalist, a fine woman. be an excellent choice. There's a lot of people I think that are being looked at who may not be in the newspapers, but only one man knows. So I just want to reassure those in your audience who see some of these globalists and have their names tossed around. I'm not afraid. I think at the end of the day, Donald Trump will make the right choice.
All I know is his actions, he's only turning up the heat on the globalists. He's doing exactly what the mainstream media tells him not to. They are acting really scared now.
No, I think they're in high panic mode because the multi-million-dollar negative TV ads didn't work during the primaries. The hatchet job by the New York Times about his behavior with women in the 70s and 80s, in my opinion, just set the standard. Now we have to review Bill Clinton's attitude and treatment of women in the 70s and 80s. And that's an ugly story. I saw this again with Chris Cuomo and Michael Cohen on CNN. This is not about respect.
My friends, anytime you're talking about the Clintons, it's an ugly story, whether it's Bill or Hillary or even Chelsea, who apparently has grown up to be a true Clinton, with all that connotes. Donald Trump is unafraid. He's got nothing to lose. Just like Roger Stone says, he's having a fine time in life without being president. Other people, this would be the crowning glory of their lives. Trump doesn't need any more crowning glory. He's built an empire. He's famous. He's a TV star. He's a multi-billionaire. He's doing this out of pure patriotism. Now, patriotism is a word you don't hear a lot anymore. People kind of roll their eyes when you say someone's a patriot. But I'm here to tell you, the patriotism is a fine quality. And I wish it wasn't the kind of word that make people blanch these days. Donald Trump is a patriot. Hillary Clinton is not. She's an ambitious social climber as well as an inept lying pig, as I may have mentioned once or twice. But Clinton is whatever Clinton is doesn't matter. Very shortly, it will matter even less. Donald Trump is a patriot, and he will choose as his vice president another patriot, and he will stock his administration with patriots, and that's the beginning of the road back for America. Let's take a break. Riell Truth will continue.
We all know that our government is out of control. What are the people in it? How can we, the people, bring it back to the people serving of the people now? Looking for Freedom Writer says, officials in the government must be made accountable for their actions. AccountabilityRevolution.com is the place to go to learn how you can actually make that happen. Become their judge and not their judge. AccountabilityRevolution.com. Radiator repairs, call 970-42-67-3 on the air. And of his fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 16. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America.
All right, guys, welcome back. I'm still Howard Riell. This is still Riell Truth, and I still got plenty of good stuff for you. Let's go to Fox News. Newt Gingrich defending Trump's attacks against Hillary Clinton. And believe me, Clinton started it. She set the tone. But Donald Trump is the kind of street fighter where you start a fight with him, he's the one who's going to finish it. I respect people like that. Let's listen.
Well, you just heard Bert Hume talking about the Clinton-Donald Trump sex scandals and character. Joining me now with more on that, former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. He is the co-author of the new book, Rediscovering God in America. And he was Speaker of the House during the Clinton impeachment process. Mr. Speaker, good to see you. So, Bill Clinton got in trouble, not so much for the affair, but for lying about it under oath. So let me just take you back to the affair itself and ask you, since we're talking about affairs and we're talking about alleged sexual misconduct, including alleged rape, whether you think that's fair game right now in this election.
Well, I think you drew a very important key distinction. The problem the president faced that led to impeachment was he had committed perjury, which is a felony, as you know, and ultimately he lost his license to practice law for, I think, 5 or 6 years in Arkansas because he was guilty. These other allegations, and I thought Bret Hume was fascinating. I'd never heard the story about NBC sitting on the charges of Broderick.
I heard that story.
That there have been a lot of fairly offensive stories floating around Bill Clinton for most of his career. I think this whole thing is sad, and I think it's probably unavoidable. I mean, we're living through an era where, you know, we're getting deeper and deeper into the gutter in a whole range of ways, and this campaign is just going to be part of that same process.
She's on record, Hillary Clinton is saying, when someone alleges she's been raped, you believe her. You believe someone alleging. Now, Juanita Broderick, if I'm not mistaken, never filed charges against Bill Clinton.
Folks, that's the quote that I began today's show with. You're welcome.
She made the allegations. She wound up suing him. That case was dismissed. She was suing him over documents that she wanted him to maintain. But, what kind of a position does that put Hillary Clinton in? Because these are all the women who alleged, the top 3 alleged they were assaulted by Bill Clinton. The bottom 2 had affairs with him. That was established. Go ahead.
Well, I think this is the whole challenge she has, because she's kind of a transitional figure. In some ways, her career started back when it was very challenging and very difficult for professional women to rise, and she worked very, very hard, and she fought her way very hard, and she broke through a lot of glass ceilings, including at the Rose Law Firm in Little Rock. On the other hand, this is now, 30 years later, and younger women are looking at her, and they don't understand what a lot of this stuff is all about. And I think probably most...
I disagree. They do understand exactly what it's about, but they were hoping to get a woman president. They're disappointed by the fact that Hillary, though she is a woman, is an absolute disaster. They were hoping for a much, much, much better woman.
Younger women, if they had somebody who did what Bill did, would have walked out. So it's very hard for her to play this role.
Well, you can't judge that. Obviously Hillary doesn't believe these rape allegations, but he had, what he's admitted to is he had some...
Says who? Hillary believes, I know in my heart of hearts that she believes, she knows exactly the kind of piece of garbage that she's married to. Don't give Hillary a pass. She knows exactly what she's married to. And believe me, she's no bargain either. Read Roger Stone's book.
You've admitted similar. Donald Trump has admitted similar. Many people are unhappy in their marriages and make stupid decisions when it comes to how to find happiness. But it is a different matter in his case when you lie about it under oath. And certainly rape is a totally different matter altogether.
Well, and by the way, when you lie to the entire country, which he did in April of 1998, so you've got to look at this. All I'm saying is this is going to be a mess. It's going to stay a mess for a while. Hillary's a very aggressive attacker, and she's up against an opponent who thinks that one of the lessons to learn from 2012 is to never let a liberal Democrat get away with an attack. So Trump is going to counterattack very aggressively. We saw him do it all during the primaries, and he's going to pick up whatever he can find and throw it at her.
Do you think this puts her back on her heels? Does this make her say, never mind, I'm not going to go down that route?
I think that it gets inside her head, and I think it's very painful and very hard for her to deal with, and frankly, probably very hard for she and Bill to deal with. I mean, this is something that's with them over and over and over again.
Interesting. I don't think this is hard for them to deal with. I think they've dealt with worse. I think all the horrifying things that Bill Clinton has done to women, he was able to cope with those. And all the lies and all the financial chicanery and all the secrecy and all the destroying people, yeah, Hillary was able to cope with that. This is a couple, believe me, that can cope.
As they try to sort things out in terms of, they'd like to focus on the campaign. They'd like to focus on their positive message. Instead, they have evenings like tonight where the media is at best not good, and at worst it's terrible. And I think part of the Trump technique is to just surround her with so much noise that she can't think very clearly.
And yet,
my friends, has Hillary Clinton ever thought really clearly? She's completely scripted, totally managed, protected in a womb of protection by the Democratic Party, by her political friends, by her friends at the big banks like Goldman Sachs, and by the media. There is cocoon around Hillary Clinton, and now that she's being forced out of that cocoon, she's being shown as the inept, bumbling fool that she's always been.
is it pointing to other bad behavior to defend one's own bad behavior? Because there's no question Trump has talked about women in derogatory terms.
All right, stop. Megan, baby. Trump has talked about women in derogatory terms. Well, here is a news flash for Megan the newscaster. So at one point or another, has every man said things like that about Hillary Clinton, about any woman. In fact, I have to laugh. Look at this commercial that the Clinton campaign was put out about Donald Trump. People standing there repeating the things that Donald Trump has said. So he's saying the kinds of things guys say. Are they politically correct? Are they good cocktail party conversation? No, but they're things that guys say. So women may be listening to these things and thinking, oh my God, did he really say that? Men are listening to it and thinking, yeah, so what? Big deal. Hillary is so out of touch with America, with anything warm and human. You might as well have Mr. Spock running for president.
No reasonable person is going to go back and try to defend, Donald Trump and some of the dumber things he did over the course of his life, including, by the way, Donald Trump. But he has this lovely vaccination of saying, look, now I'm a public figure. Now I'm a grandfather.
He said
now
some of
I'm
them
a mature
even
adult.
during the past year.
He has said some things that I would just as soon he didn't say. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying, I think...
All right, stop. Megan, grow up. And I made this comment yesterday to women across America in general. Grow up. You hire a president to run a country. If he doesn't use the right words, well, that may be regrettable, but that doesn't impact whether or not he can run the country. Trump can solve problems. Trump can bring back America's economy. Trump can protect us against the illegals and against jihad. Trump can make health care better. Trump can do a ton of things America desperately needs. And if your deciding factor is, I don't know if I like some of the things he says, well then, you need to grow up a little bit, baby. You want to be taken seriously? You need to grow up. Alright, that's it for the video. Let's hit some news before we go any further. Headline, Mexican flag-waving mob attacks police horses outside Trump rally. Presumptive Republican nominee Donald Trump held a rally in Albuquerque, New Mexico Tuesday. Outside the event, a large group of liberal activists and illegal alien supporters. Stop! So my friends, here's what the news does. Here's how the news spins things. Donald Trump, protesters, oh, he sparks violence. These people are committing acts of violence at the behest of Hillary and or Bernie and or George Soros and the Democratic Party. So if I show up at your house and I stand outside destroying things, acting violently, does that mean that you are violent? Of course not. But that's what the media would have us believe. That's the connection they're trying to make. Another headline, Obama warns hospitals, accommodate transgenders or lose funding. My friends, this is the problem with drug addiction. It leads to terrible things. What's that? You're saying the headline's not about drug addiction? Sure it is. Of course it is. The federal government is talking about withholding money from hospitals. The hospitals are drug addicts, and the drug of choice is federal money. They're addicts. They'll do anything the federal government tells them as long as the money keeps flowing. Just like an addict will do anything his pusher tells him, just so as not to interrupt the flow of drugs. Item from truthfeed.com. Cruz, Rubio, and Kasich won't release delegates even with Trump inevitable. Unquote. Now, my friends, there are a lot of people on the internet saying terrible things about Cruz and Rubio and Kasich because even now they won't capitulate, they won't release their delegates to Trump, and everyone who's saying terrible things about them is right. Cruz, Rubio, and Kasich are acting like spoiled children. They're acting like they care more about their fit of pique than about America. Now, I would never advocate violence. I would never suggest anyone commit any act of violence. But if there are people out there saying that the three of them deserve a good slap across the face, I couldn't really take issue with that. Item from Fox News, facing no active opposition, Donald Trump easily won the Republican presidential primary in Washington State Tuesday, that's yesterday, inching him closer to the magic number of 1,237 delegates necessary to wrap up the GOP nomination. Unquote. My folks, my friends, let's go back in time a couple of months. We were going to go to the convention. Trump was going to be robbed blind. They were going to steal the nomination from him and slip in someone like Marco Rubio or Paul Ryan. Paul Manafort, Trump's convention manager, went on the air in the midst of this whole firestorm and said, nah. By the time we get to the last round of primaries, Trump will have the necessary 1,237 candidates to lock up, delegates to lock up the nomination. Everyone said, what? Are you crazy? That's not going to happen. Once again, Trump and his organization have more intelligence than any of the big media pundits. Any of the guys who get paid a lot of money to go on the air and say stuff. Paul Manafort called it. Trump called it. And it is so. So place some confidence in Trump because he's smarter than all the idiots you're listening to on all the cable stations. Speaking of idiots, item from Breitbart. House Speaker Paul Ryan is ruling out making any cuts to Muslim immigration. In an interview with Sean Hannity on Fox News, Ryan declared that considering an applicant's religion would not be appropriate and would be fundamentally un-American, insisting, quote, that's not who we are, unquote. Schmuck! Being careful who you let inside your borders, putting security and the safety of Americans first, being wise and judicious and not acting out of some political dogma, not giving in to the liberals and the New York Times and the Washington Post, doing what's best for America and for Americans and for the next generation and the next generation after that. Yeah, that is who America is. That is what we are. America proceeds carefully, judiciously, and acts intelligently. At least that's the way America used to be. Until the Beltway became filled with political whores and pinheads like Paul Ryan. 83% of Americans object to all the Muslim immigrants coming into the country. Paul Ryan doesn't care what Americans think. He cares about what Paul Ryan thinks. Now, who the hell ever made this guy House Speaker is beyond me. The politicians themselves voted for him. The whores named him to that position. And that's exactly what America's getting rid of right now. We're getting rid of the political whores and giving the reins of power back to the people. So Paul Ryan needs to go. He needs to resign, needs to give up the House speakership, needs to leave. If he leaves politics, even better. He is poison for the Republican Party and for America. We need people in politics as opposed to politicians. We need people in politics who truly represent the American people. Paul Ryan is not that. Paul Ryan is a political whore. He's one of the elites. He's one of the globalists, one of the establishments. And his priorities, believe me, do not coincide with yours and mine. So now that Trump is the titular head of the Republican Party, He needs to push Paul Ryan out. He needs to accept his resignation, replace him with someone who's, I'm coming back to that word I used before, the B word, needs to replace him with a patriot.
Or call us at 303-829-5948. Rehabilitation.
I went over time on that commercial break. Sorry.
Great Plains Power has been providing reliable electrical power systems in the Rocky Mountain area since 1992.
Oh, it bit me! It bit me! Hang on. I know medical website. You feel my foot floating. Oh, girl, pop-up ad. Oh, they're making me sign up for their newsletter. Oh, that's great. No, I don't want to download your app. Hang on. 15 more seconds and I can skip this ad.
We provide and design turnkey packages, custom design system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to GreatPlainsSolar.com. He was in the world was made through him. The world did not know. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God, to those who believe in his name, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 10 through 13. Article 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the places to be searched and the person or thing to be seized.
Alright guys, welcome back to Riell Truth. I am going back to the Rutherford Institute. John Whitehead, he hasn't been around here in a while. Former guest here on Riell Truth. He's got a new video out. If you want to go to rutherford.org, I think it would be time well spent. It's an excellent organization. Lots of good stuff on the site. The headline, Rejecting the Matrix, Breaking the Chains That Bind the Mind. Here we go. John Whitehead.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. Unarmed citizens shot down by police in the streets. People undergoing anal, vaginal probes on streets have committed no crime. The NSA watching everything we're doing. The FBI watching protests, downloading tweets and emails of protesters to try to stop protests. Endless wars going on and on and on, taxing us to the hill. We actually pay more in taxes than food, housing, and clothing. Everything our forefathers considered to be freedom is being taken away from us, destroyed. All the while, most Americans are caught up in bread and circuses and screen devices, having no idea what's going on. This is part and parcel of the propaganda that's being churned out by the governmental machine. The governmental machine, by the way, which is run by a corporate elite that funds the government and is controlling the American citizens. It's very much like the movie The Matrix, where the propaganda churned out. We can't see reality. We don't understand what's going on. Everything seems to be an illusion once you see what's happening around you. There seems to be change wrapped around our mind. The question is, can we free our mind and see reality and wake up to the truth of what is and regain our freedoms? Here are some principles I think you should consider in opening and freeing your mind. First, the government's primary purpose is maintaining power and control. As university studies show, we're controlled by an oligarchy, a moneyed elite that runs the government and profits off of their greed. Second, voting is practically worthless. Voting is a way to keep the citizenry pacified. It's, as I've said many times, voting provides the illusion of participation. Third, I would say, question everything, folks. Don't assume anything the government does is for the good of the citizenry. Fourth, materialism is a death knell to freedom. Americans may be better off with all the things they have, all the stuff, but these things distract us from reality. Fifth, there is little hope for any true resistance if you're mindlessly connected to the electronic concentration camp. In my opinion, it's used to control you. Avoid mind manipulations to a large degree by greatly limiting your reliance on electronic devices. Sixth, an armed revolt will not work. The local police in most small communities are armed to the hilt. They can blow away any kind of resistance. So folks, don't get shot down. Be wise. Seventh, there's power in numbers. Coalitions, marches, protests, work. That's why they're greatly feared by the government, and that's why the government's armed to the hilt to put them down. Eighth, as I always say, think nationally but act locally. You can control your local government if you get together in coalitions and groups and movements and get your act together. So, the question is, are you going to wake up? Are you going to realize what's happening around you and take a stand for freedom? Well, let me give you the advice that Morpheus gave Neo in the movie The Matrix.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave in you. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
And that rabbit hole, my friends, does indeed go deep. What we see on TV is mostly lies, mostly distraction. What we get from professional career politicians, mostly lies, mostly distraction. What we do to ourselves with this constant preoccupation of sitting in front of a television or holding your electronic device in front of your face or surfing the net or watching sports or going to... These are all distractions. Because while we're busy with bread and circuses, the powers that be, who don't really care about any of that stuff, their thing is control. And they're working to control us. And I gotta give the devil their due. They do a hell of a job. Because we are controlled. Lock, stock, and barrel. That's why when a revolution comes by, when you have someone running for president who's not a part of that machine, not a career politician, not a liar, but instead an honest, well-meaning patriot, we need to wrap our arms around that opportunity and make the most of it because it won't come again in our lifetimes. Item from the Washington Times. The State Department admitted 80 Syrian refugees on Tuesday and 225 on Monday, setting a single-day record as President Obama tries to meet his target of 10,000 approvals this year, renewing fears among security analysts who say the administration is cutting corners to meet a political goal. Officials insist they're moving faster because of the improvements in screening and say they're still running all the traps on applicants. But the spike is stunning, with more people accepted Monday alone than the entire months of January or February. Unquote. My friends, Barack Obama is trying to do as much crippling damage to America as he can before he leaves office. So you can bet he's going to throw those floodgates open and allow as many Muslim refugees and Mexican illegals and South and Central American illegals as possible into this country. We need to get our politicians here, good luck, to shut him down. We need to insist that this revolution that's carrying Donald Trump to the White House is going to carry them out of their cushy jobs unless they start doing what the people insist they do. We need to shut the border. We need a moratorium on all immigration till we can figure out what the hell we're doing and why. So get on the phone and call the White House and call your senator, call your congressman and say no. No to immigration from the Muslim Middle East. No to illegal immigrants coming over the southern border. We insist that it be stopped. And if you really want to get serious about stopping these problems, support Donald Trump. Don't just vote for him, support him. Volunteer for his organizations wherever you live. Get on the internet, disseminate information that's pro-Trump and against Hillary Clinton. We can still stay free. We can still get our freedoms back, but it's time to rev up the engines and make it happen. Let's take a break. We'll be back.
Also be a symbol of that freedom. With both-sides flags flying from your truck, car, and motorcycle, sitting in states law that you are facing. Go to showyourcolors.biz for the best tickets, flag holders, flags, and cheers. Let people know what you're saying by the way you ride or drive. KHNC, everybody. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution
Alright guys, welcome back to Riell Truth. I can't be certain, but I think we've got a caller on the line. Caller, you with us?
Yeah, hi Howard.
Who's this?
This is John from Kersey.
How you doing, John? What's going on?
Hey John, I just called because I've listened to Michael Dunn for several years, and I started to really think that he was on the right side of most things. But he has, since he's turned on Trump, I don't trust the guy anymore at all. And, as we both know, Ted Cruz supported the Trans-Pacific Partnership fast-track status, which basically gave Obama 100% authority to negotiate the treaty, and all the Senate could do was vote it up or down once Obama had negotiated it.
Right.
Well, over the last 80 years, the Senate has never failed to ratify a treaty that had fast-track status. So what Cruz did was sell us out again on one of these globalization trade agreements. And since Levin supported him so strongly, I would have to think, I mean, Levin's no dummy. He knows exactly what's involved in that treaty. I would have to think that we cannot trust Levin anymore, especially since there was so much to be lost with this treaty because it wasn't so much about trade as it was about governance of the people in these countries involved.
All right, John, let me jump in for a second because I think what you're saying is right. I no longer trust Mark Levin. I read that the Cruz campaign had agreed to buy hundreds of thousands of copies of Levin's book, which would have put over $1 million in Levin's pocket. Is that why Levin suddenly went ape about Trump? I don't know, but there are some smart people who say that's the case. Have you heard that also?
Well, I didn't hear the many details that you just described, but I did hear that his book had been bought up in massive quantities by a PAC that supported Cruz.
Right, exactly.
And, it's so disappointing when you find out that these, one after another, the people that we thought we could trust, number one, Ted Cruz. I liked Ted Cruz before he voted for that TPP. I totally supported him, but once he did that, I just couldn't imagine why he would vote to give Obama some authority to negotiate another one of these treaties that is just ripping the guts out of the American middle class.
John, what about Glenn Beck? He's also gone bananas for Cruz. What's up with him?
I haven't trusted him for 10 years. He supported Bush completely no matter what Bush did. And I don't know if you remember, he loves to grovel. He went to the White House in George Bush's second term, and he was acting very skeptical about Bush for a little while, which I think Bush was a globalist sellout from the first term, but Beck, acted like he was skeptical of Bush, and then Bush invited him and a few other high-level talk show hosts to the White House, and after he left the White House, he just fell over backwards trying to suck up to George Bush, just like he's sucking up to Zuckerberg. So that guy I think he's mentally unstable too. Do you remember when Ron Paul failed to show up on time to his radio show for a telephone interview, and Glenn Beck melted down, and he just insulted Ron Paul right and left.
I think I remember hearing about that, yeah.
He's unstable. He's a very unstable person, and with his background, I'm sure you're familiar with his heavy drug use and his alcoholism and his very liberal politics before he, became a Mormon. I think the guy is mentally ill, to tell you the truth.
Well, you know what? I have had in the past, I've respected Glenn Beck. I've read his books. I thought they were very good. I had a lot of respect for Mark Levin. I played clips of his show on my show. But I'll tell you, it's either Trump or Hillary, and they're opposing Trump. So what the heck am I supposed to think?
I know, and I think that there's still a movement out there to derail Trump, and I think Levin is part of it. If you listen to his show, he literally insults his listeners that have been loyal listeners for years but support Trump.
Right.
He just insults them right and left. So I can't imagine that they've given up on derailing the Trump campaign.
Well, if they...
There's not a stake here for Levin. I don't listen to his show anymore. I completely shut him off.
You know what? It's good to have a career and it's good to make a lot of money, but at a certain point you have to remember that you're an American. And what you're doing, especially if you're in the mass media, I'm not in the mass media, I'm in a little KHNC, but when you're as big as Levin is and Glenn Beck, you've got a responsibility to the country to support and defend it. And it doesn't take away your objectivity, but my God, doing something that will result in Hillary Clinton becoming president, you might as well just set off a nuke someplace in America.
Yeah, and Levin did just sign a new 10-year contract in, I think it was January, so he can afford to alienate a lot of listeners.
Well, if he can afford it, good luck to him. I try not to alienate anybody, and I usually fail.
You don't sell out America, and you know what? The guy's already got it made. What's he got to lose at this point to just be truthful and support what's important? He's already got enough money that he'll never spend. Why not do the right thing? I can't believe to the degree the guy is sold out. It's really disappointing.
It is sad. It's disheartening. It's disappointing. You're absolutely right. I will never sell out for a big fat contract, although I'd love the opportunity to do so. But but you know what? I take this. I've never been paid a penny for doing this gig, and I take it very, very seriously. This is my opportunity to give back to America and to the world, to my fellow Americans. I'm under no illusions. I'm no hero doing it, but I think it's the least I can do to support America and support the next generation. And believe me, our generation has done a savage job on the next generation. We are handing them a whopping debt that they will never, ever be able to pay.
By the way, when you talk about selling out, the big
John, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but John, I'm sorry to cut you off. We're hitting a commercial. We got to go. Thanks very much for the call. My friends, we'll be right back with more Real Truth. John calls in every once in a while. Really, really bright guy, well informed. It's always great to have his call. And he's right. Mark Levin, Glenn Beck, I don't know what's up with them. Maybe the money has gone to their heads. Mark Levin especially, screaming, screeching about Donald Trump. I just don't get it. And if that report that I read about Levin making over $1 million thanks to a Ted Cruz PAC, if that's true, and I don't know if it's true, but if it's true, I'm very disappointed in Mark Levin. I thought he was made of better stuff than that. You think I would take multi-million-dollar offer if someone offered it to me?
AccountabilityRevolution.com. We hope these truths to be self-evident.
Real doesn't sell out. Although, like I said, I wouldn't mind the opportunity to. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
And the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the government. This, the American News Network. This is the uniform people really ask everyone. Give involved in the community this all. Whether it's a toy for a needy child, care package for military members, or giving the gift of life by giving blood, you can make a difference if you're ready to affect someone else's life. This way. 552-2233. They're on the air because they need someone to fire out.
All right, guys, we've only got 4 minutes to go. Let's make them count. Item from WorldNet Daily as Donald Trump revives the 2-decade-old Vince Foster case. The charge that the cause of death of the top aide and close friend of the Clintons may not have been suicide has once again been dismissed as the stuff of right-wing conspiracy theory, but less than 3 months ago, WorldNet Daily reported a resignation letter surfaced from the lead investigator in independent counsel Robert Fisk's investigation of the Foster case. Miguel Rodriguez outlining evidence of his charge that the case was fixed. 13 years ago, WorldNet Daily reported Rodriguez, an assistant U.S. attorney, made an audio recording in which he charged the suicide ruling was predetermined. The crime scene was altered, and major newspaper editors killed stories by reporters pursuing the truth. This whole notion of Fisk and Starr doing an honest investigation is laughable, Rodriguez says in the tape. In his resignation letter, Rodriguez refers to the photograph showing a wound on Foster's neck that was not mentioned in Starr's official government report. The obvious questions: how could the suicide victim be found with 2 wounds? A .38 caliber gunshot into the mouth that exited through his head, and another wound on the right side of his neck that one of the paramedics described as a small caliber bullet hole. And why would the government investigators go to great lengths to cover it up? Unquote. My friends, I have no idea, but I can think of 2 reasons. Hillary and Bill. Item from NosComunicamos.com. Sunny Oaks Elementary School in California is making headlines this week for the absurd thing they're having their students participate in. The staff is under question by parents and media after a student came home complaining to her parents that she had to dress up in boys' clothes over her dress that she wore to school. Parents of the girl said to Fox News, quote, "It's bad enough our society is now forcing us to allow transgenders into the wrong bathrooms, but for our school system to teach our kids that this is normal is absolutely wrong." Although the superintendent did not know of the transgender desensitization event at school, he did say he had approved of LGBT Week for students to learn about the prejudice of society against this group of people, unquote. My friends, it's not prejudice by society against a group of people. It's prejudice by society against mental illness. Item from the Mirror. A former McDonald's CEO warned that robots will take over staff jobs at the fast food empire because it's cheaper than employing humans. Stop! Here's a word to all the brain-dead humanoids out there who said, "We want $15 an hour." If you do that, you're going to lose jobs. We want $15 an hour. The economics of a business won't support that. We want $15 an hour. Okay, they got $15 an hour. And now they have no job. Welcome to Economics 101. Item from the Washington Post. When Univision anchor Maria Elena Salinas mentioned Donald Trump during her commencement speech at the School of Communications at California State University Fullerton on May 22nd, she was met with boos from students. Later, a woman could be heard yelling, "Get off the stage." Yeah. Maria, get off the stage. Shut your mouth. You are a shill for illegal aliens who want to come and impoverish this nation, who want to come and be responsible, at least in part, for a crime spree, who want to bring us third world diseases America hasn't seen in decades, if at all. Maria Elena Salinas, you don't give a rat's ass about America. You give a rat's ass about your country and your people. And that's a fine thing as long as you stay in your country with your people. Don't come from the third world here to the first world and tell us how to run our country. If you knew how to run a country, your country wouldn't be a third world toilet. I'm done. I'll be back tomorrow. Hasta luego.